Welcome back to construction. We're going to be on part 2, walls and ceiling, the vocabulary. We talked about it. Again, flip over your page as you can see it. Flip over the second one and your first word is top plate. We went over double top plate. Now we're on top plate. And the top plate basically is the same as the bottom plate. You're just nailing your studs to it. That is the majority of it. The other things that you nail to it are king studs, headers, doors, or cripples that are over doors. So the bottom line is when you're doing this, and as you follow in your packet, the top plate is the upper horizontal structure member that's used to carry the rafters or the trusses. A lot of times a double top plate will carry the load what you nail into. But the top plate is what you nail everything onto, and that is weaker until you get the double top plate. So if you had two 16-footers, or ours are 52-footer wall, you would definitely have 3 slices that would wobble back and forth until you get the double top plate, and then it goes up much easier. Number 13, second one is trimmer studs. Those are the same thing as jack studs or trimmer studs. They're usually 81.5 on the interiors and 80 or 80.5 depending on who uses them for the inside of exterior doors. They go right beside king studs and they support underneath the headers. So they're nailed from the bottom plate all the way up, usually underneath the headers. That is the trimmer stud. So it's on your vocab as you're following along, it says vertical framing member that forms the sides of the rough opening from the doors to the windows, and which are what the header rests on. Same sort of thing. I don't care what you write down or even if you copy it, the term, as long as you understand it, is the most important thing. And understanding that it goes from the bottom plate all the way nailed up to the header, that's what a trimmer stud is. You also nail it to the king stud or a regular stud right beside it for any door or window openings. Okay. Next is blocking. Now blocking is anything from a 2x4 to a 2x6. We use some 2x10s. They're usually hidden behind walls and sheetrock. You will never usually recognize any of them. We use some blocking, also called nailers, for your blocking, but we use those from our exterior wall to our interior partitions that we did. And when we did the interior partitions, we put the 2x6 on the bottom and the top, and then we came down 2 feet, 4 feet, 6 feet to catch the sheetrock as it breaks. We also did blocking for, Hunter did the blocking for the kitchen cabinets, and those kitchen cabinets were at 7'1", and then you can take your kitchen cabinets when we snap a line and install the cabinets. You can literally just take screws in the top, hidden away from everybody, and you know you'll always hit studs. Other ones that other students have done are we put blocks around for our ceiling ties that supported it. I believe Bailey and Johnny and Ed did those. I'm sure someone else did. If I forgot you, don't take it personally. And going from that, other ones that we have done, we put blocking in for if you put handicap accessible. Again, that's hidden. If you put a rail up, you want to screw it. You just want to be able to hit something. There's nothing worse than putting screws or nails in any kind of structure, curtain rods that someone put up. As long as you hit something that you can screw in something, that's the best way. So again, blocking is supports inside the walls that support either other walls or something that needs to be mounted against it. That is blocking. Okay, and floor blocking, we used it as for, we used it on the floor so it stopped it from springing in between. That was solid blocking or solid bridging. Okay, that's the same sort of thing. Drawing in. The term drawing in basically means that a sheathing has been applied on the roof, windows and exterior doors are in, and to frame the building. It means that the electricians and plumbers and everybody can come in and finish the job. So you don't have to worry about cold, you don't have to worry about wet, snow. dried in means it's capable of taking the elements. It doesn't mean the siding is on. It doesn't mean that all the finished flooring is on. All you want to do is it's basically roughed in. If you hear the term roughed in, that's the same thing as dried in. It's just what part of the country or anything else that you're in. So again, drying is when applied sheathing, windows, exterior door, and to the framing of the building. So basically everything else got its skin. It's like on the outside of you. It's not finished, but it's basically got its skin on the outside. Okay, next one is a strong back. Now strong backs are, let me draw one on the board as we're going here. Strong backs, I know John saw one at the job site. They're usually in rafters, and we'll use this as a 2x4. Hopefully everyone can see that. Strong backs like this. And a lot of times we nail them like this in the trusses below. You basically nail them into the trusses below, and then you can either screw this way to a gable end, or let's see, what else can we screw it to a gable end or the trusses to make sure that they're straight so they don't wobble going down. This will keep it straight along with this. It's structurally strong. I know, sorry for the camera, but I know John literally took one off when we were doing on the exterior part of the wall. These can be left permanent or they can be temporary. We also had some form of strong backs when we did the in the basement. I know Will helped me, and so did Dylan, when we put the temporary 2x4s underneath, and then we ended up putting the lolly columns in. Same sort of thing. Those were called T-posts versus strong backs, but the principle is the same. You won't take a 2x4 and it won't bend. That's why you nail it into the backside, so you're going both ways, linearly and vertically, and it will strengthen everything. So again, that is what we are on for strong backs. Rib band. Now, a rib band is usually strapping 1x4 that you put in ceiling joists up on the roof, just so it keeps them 16 on center. It allows or 2 foot on center, whatever it is. I would recommend that the rib band, usually what they call catwalk, is usually a 2x4. So if accidentally you stepped on it, it's not apt to snap. But the rib band, when you use a 1x4, a lot of times will snap if it's got knot or something in between it. Do not put your weight on the rib band unless it's a minimum of a 2x4. And then even then, if they're 2 foot on center, they still could snap. We haven't installed some of the rib bands here, but I know John, both Johns, and I think Ed were up in the trusses, nailing those on at 2 foot on center. They were laid out, and then we stuffed them up and we nailed them. That's keeping the layout the same and keeping everything how it should be. That is what a rib band is. Next, number 18, which is let-in. A let-in is usually done on braced framing. Some posts and beams, it's usually at a 45-degree angle or some angle of degree that you notch in 1.5 inches and you keep it flush with all the framing. It's a lot of work. You have to chisel it, but before they added the boards, and when we did the brace framing, you used to notch it in, keep it squared. Now we use plywood to keep it squared after we cross tape it or do the 3-4-5 method. Now we don't have to worry about let-ins. The only thing that was close to a let-in is if we happen to take a 2x4 and went all the way underneath a balloon framing house. You used to have to notch that, and then they put the floor joist right to it, so you could catch that for your next level and go from there. Again, that's cutting it flush. So a let-in, is a notch cut into a joist, stud or block, etc., to let another piece, such as a brace, and we go from there. Okay. Number 19 is strapping. As we did on the other job site, Habitat House, we strapped the whole ceiling. That's what it's there for. The problem with running sheetrock 2 foot on center is the weight of the sheetrock will more than more than have an ability to, with the moisture content in the ceiling, will drop and pull from its screws. That's why we add the strapping, so we have more durable, stronger. And just so you know, when we get to sheetrock, you want 5 screws on the ceiling, 2 at each end, and then 3 spaced evenly, and only 4 on the walls. You need top and bottom, and then 2 in the middle. So that you can put more, but tapers don't like it. But that's really the whole purpose way back. And if you see on our ceiling up above me, a lot of times you will strap that or put purlings that we did at the job at where was it? Hazen campus. Remember when we put purlings and we put the metal roof on? That's a form of strapping. We strapped basically with 2x4s on the roof, and then we screwed the metal studs, screwed the metal sheathing right on top, the roof, remember? So you contacted everything. When we did our house, we have all plywood, 5/8 Advantech on the roof, and then you could screw the metal roofing right to that. But the strapping is basically usually 1x4 or 1x3 that you put on the ceiling, and then you snap it and you keep it either 16 or 2 foot on center. The last one that we have on vocabulary is the furring strip. Now the furring strip is basically you're padding everything out to keep it flush. When you keep everything flush, you don't crack the sheetrock. So when you're doing a wall and you're padding something out, like a 2x4 to a 2x6 wall, you might use a furring strip to pad that out and make sure that it's flush and going from there. Make sure you get your vocabulary done, fill all this out. Hopefully these lectures help. If they didn't, that's okay. You can follow along and you have all the information on your vocabulary on Objective 1. Okay? Be safe, have a good day, and we'll see you tomorrow. And get my email tonight. Talk to me. Bye.